6. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the most awesomest homesteading channel on the planet that typically has nothing to do with homesteading whatsoever. Homesteading off the grid. Folks, today I have quite an eclectic group of stories for you. We've got stories about strange things falling from the sky, strange things being seen in the sky, and potentially a story by an absolute professional who may have been witness to potential aliens being born on Earth by way of female vessels, human vessels, and then it all covered up. Let me get to it, okay? First and foremost, I want to start this video with a very endearing moment that my family and I had a couple of nights ago. So I got a message on Etsy from our Etsy store from somebody who had just purchased one of my novels that I actually spent God knows how many years writing. I mean, you know, books, you see a book, you're like, oh wow, 300 pages. Now that's years worth of effort. Trial and error, over and over, writing, rewriting, going through 5 edits before finally sending it to your editor and paying them a small fortune. So my wife was in the bedroom. Our master's bedroom is downstairs. I was in the living room and I got this message and I read it to my wife and I said, you know, that really makes me feel good. I mean, I'm a social media content creator. Folks refer to it as an influencer. I don't use that term because I think that term is arrogant, and I think it's a term, I know it's a term that was invented by the industry to make people like me who do what we do think we're more important than we are. If they call us something fancy like an influencer and we think, oh, I'm influencing people's lives. First of all, I hope I'm not influencing people's lives. But number two, it's just to stroke that ego to keep you doing what you do. I'm a grounded individual. I'm a realist. I know that what I do because I enjoy it. I love it. And I am deeply honored and heart touched that we found millions and millions of people that enjoy watching that which I create. We've got over 1.5 million subscribers if you count our YouTube following, our Facebook following, what we've got going on Instagram, Amazon affiliate marketing, all this stuff. And I can't thank each and every single one of you enough. Because you're here watching me do what I do is the only reason I'm able to do what I do while providing an amazing life for my family while I do it. So I want to thank all of you. So I read this message to my wife. She was in the bedroom and I said, honey, will you listen to this? And it was short and sweet. And I didn't realize at the time that my son, who's 14 now, was in the kitchen. He was in the kitchen. He had been upstairs and he came downstairs and was in there scrounging around for food. And he heard what I told my wife and he comes in and he says, you know what, Dad? I really hope that you're appreciative of somebody taking their time to write you that. And I said, I am. He says, well, Dad, I hope you're showing it. So because of that, because of the wisdom from my 14-year-old son, I'm going to read to all of you what I read. It was just somebody went onto Etsy. They bought a print copy of one of my books. They wrote this message. Listen, Ken in Texas, you're married to a pretty good woman. Her name's Mona. I know you're watching this because y'all watch me every night, according to Mona. And I hope I'm not spoiling a surprise. This is probably a big surprise to you to see this and hear this, but you got another surprise coming, all right? So I got this message from a lady named Mona. She says, hi, Kevin. We watch you every night. I recently bought one of your books on Amazon, the green covered one, LOL. Well, by the green covered one, she's referring to From the Graves of Babes, Amazon's #1 rated ghost novel in customer satisfaction for 6 months in the year of its release. All right. She continues, my husband started it and finished it in 3 days. He's not an avid reader, but couldn't put the book down. His name is Ken. I'm ordering The Lunatic, the Lunatic, from you. I would love you to write him a note. So, sorry to spoil the surprise, Ken, that you've got a print copy signed and autographed by me coming to you in the mail in Texas. It went out yesterday. It'll probably be there by tomorrow because we send all of our books out here priority. Yeah, our shipping's higher than Amazon, but everything goes out priority mail. So we have tracking and we know you get it in 3 days. And plus, from a grease standpoint, I don't have to buy packaging material because if you ship through USPS and you use priority mail services, you get all the packaging for free. So anyway, so you're surprised, Ken, now that I've ruined the spoiler. You got the book coming and all this. is the message I left for you on the inside. So, Mona, I really want to thank you tremendously for taking the time to let me know how much your husband enjoyed my book, From the Graves of Babes. You know, a lot of times I've given this out to kids I coach because this is PG rated. And I've had parents tell me that their children fell in love with reading because they read this book. You have no clue what that means to me. FYI, we got about 10 print copies of this left. They're on Amazon and print and Kindle, unlimited copies, but the ones I actually autograph and sell, we've got about 10 left. If you want one, the link is in the description box below. You get it from our Etsy store. That's why I actually send them out to you personally with a personal notation. And FYI, I forgot who it was, but somebody was waiting on Isle of Capri, and I've got about 24 of these back in now in print, so they're available there too. So, Mona and Ken, I hope you enjoy this evening's show. And for each and every single one of you who watch me regularly or irregularly or just stop by some of the times, thank you. I am grateful, and as my son has encouraged me to do so, I'm out here to show it. Thank you. Now, with all that said, let's get into the stories. This first one comes from Mrs. J, one of my fellow Virginians. I'm in Central Virginia. Listen, when you comment on the channel or you email and you say, where specifically are you? You're getting banned, brah, because that's creepy. That happens a few times a week. I'm in Central Virginia, and that's close enough. All right. So this is from Mrs. J. Not to be confused with Mr. J, the annoying neighbor of the century who I had to run off with a crayon. It's about how 80,000 of you have now subscribed to this channel. You know that story, right? All right. Here we go. She says, please do not use my name or email address. I live in the Piedmont area of Virginia. I believe it was the latter part of January or the beginning of February of this year. The temperature was cool. I live in a rural neighborhood surrounded by trees and farms. Most farms have cows, pigs, chickens. I went outside to walk my dog, a 10-minute walk. Out of nowhere, it got cloudy and looked like ice pellets dropping. It was not cold enough for hail. It only lasted for 10 minutes at most. I thought it was so odd. I went outside and picked up a few of the pellets. They were not cold nor icy. Felt more like styrofoam pellets. A few days later, I got sinus-like cold symptoms. I actually stayed in bed one day. Folks, potentially it's mating season for a particular life form that may or may not exist. When I say get my six, it means watching the background behind me, because you never know who or what may or may not show up in the backdrops of these videos. And I just heard footsteps, but I see nothing. All right, and then she says, just want to confirm something odd is going on, Mrs. J. Clearly. All right, listen for strange howling type sounds as well. Now we've got one from Christoph. And Christoph's email, because I had to do a Google to find out where exactly he was talking about. Christoph might be helping me plan one of my next upcoming international vacations, because it looked like a beautiful area. Christoph writes, Christoph Guitar, I hope I don't, or Gautier, hopefully I'm not crucifying that name too badly. He writes, hey mate, I found your channel a few months ago. I thought I would share. You can use my name and share my story. I don't care. I'm not afraid of anyone or anything. I'm a retired police officer. I also served for 3 years in a reserve infantry unit. So Christoph, thank you for your service, both for the police force and the military. I keep my mental health and physical health in check by working my ass off on my land. My wife and I have a ton of children, most of whom are grown up now, 10 in total, combined family. Whew, so that's like 8 kids. Yes, you do. About 2 years ago, my wife and I went through a rough patch, and I ended up sleeping in the back of my ute for a month or two. One night, I camped out at a spot on the south coast of NSW called Mystery Bay. Now, that stands for North-Southern Wales. This is in Australia, Mystery Bay, and I Googled that because I wanted to make sure what I was talking about. And my goodness, the pictures that came up of Mystery Bay were absolutely gorgeous, and I just, in my head, thought I could live there. So least case scenario, I think that needs to be one of my soon upcoming international trips. I need to go see that place in like real life. Okay. He continues, I did not stay at the camping ground wanting to avoid people, so I parked my ute in the car park by the beach just around the corner of the camping ground. I found a nice secluded hidden away spot and I set up my swag and went to sleep watching the stars. That night was some sort of celestial event with lots of shooting stars predicted. At Mystery Bay, there is an island off the coast with a lighthouse on it, so I made sure I was parked behind trees that shielded me from the lighthouse so I could sleep. Anyway, I saw a few shooting stars and I fell asleep. About midnight, I was woken up by a very bright flash of light. As I was waking up, I was trying to work out what was going on. At first, I thought it might have been the cops or the park rangers coming to check on me. Then I thought maybe I had not secured my handbrake properly and the car had rolled out from under the tree and I was seeing the lighthouse. So in my head, I was trying to decide if I should ignore it and try to go back to sleep. I decided I'd better wake myself up, and I forced my eyes open. There was a bright light above me. It was an orb-like object, I'm guessing the size of a small car, hovering silently over me, maybe 20 to 30 meters above me. The light was golden and pulsing slowly. It felt like a conscious being. It stood silent above me. It pulsed 4 times on the spot, then it started rising with each pulse and eventually it disappeared into the heavens. I was so confused by this encounter at the time, all I could do was try to work out what the heck was going on. I did not try to communicate with it, nor did it with me. I was never scared during the encounter. I did not feel threatened or panic. It was almost like this thing had come to check on me. I have now had 3 personal contact experiences with orbs, this being the second, not all friendly. If you are interested, I can tell you the others. The latest one happened only a few days ago above my house. I have no witnesses to these, nor do I have any photos or videos, just my testimony. Cheers, Christoph. Christoph, hey, when you come around here, you don't need pictures and videos. You just need your story. Because listen, I've had enough crazy stuff happen to me in my lifetime. And a lot of it too, folks, is us older folks, like I'm a Gen Xer. I was born in the 1900s. The first cell phone I had was a flip phone. I was in my mid-30s, and the only reason I got that even then was because I was going through a divorce and I needed to have a way for my children to contact me if they needed to get in touch with me. If it hadn't been for that, I probably wouldn't have a cell phone now. But then we wouldn't be here together, would we? Wow. What do you call that? Serendipity? I don't know. Providence? My point is, we were all not growing up during the times when you saw something cool, you instinctively grab your phone and record it. If you saw something not so cool, like somebody being attacked on the street, we would have picked up our phones and called 911 to report it. Now everybody picks it up and makes a video hoping they get the next viral video on social media. You're disgusting if you do that. That's sickening. That's sickening. There's somebody's life at stake right there. And you're like, oh man, I hope I get a lot of likes and clicks on this video. Whatever, dude. Yeah, I know. I'm a social media content creator, but you see anybody getting beat up behind me? No. You see Piglet, my awesome 196cc Coleman freaking mini bike. What's that? Why do I call it Piglet? Well, because it sure ain't no hog. All right. Excuse me. Moving on. This is an email from Brent Fuller. Brent writes, hello, my friend. Let me get right to it. I was leaving work after an 8-hour shift. It was daytime in October several years ago, clear blue sky, when I noticed out of the corner of my eye what looked like geese flying in a V formation but was obscured by the trees. Third story in 3 days about what looks like something flying in a geese formation but clearly are not geese, folks. Pay attention. I made a few turns and looked up and saw hundreds of what I described as huge chrome pinballs or spheres coming very low and moving around, making geometric shapes and circles, and then they all went into a vortex, tornado-like shape, and as they wrapped around, they all went out of sight, like out of our dimension. I was driving but trying to maintain what I was seeing. They came right back into sight from the vortex like a wraparound effect. I pulled into the gas station, shook and pumped my gas. I hope you didn't shake it more than twice, because if you did, you're playing with it, brah. All right, did that. Looking over the roof of the store, I could still see them, but at a much higher altitude, just like when I first saw them. I couldn't remember how much gas I pumped, so I told the cashier to see how much. She could tell I was shaking and asked me why. So I told her and said I'm going back outside and look and see if they are still there. Yep. I knocked on the glass and she came outside to see. I pointed it out and she asked, "What is that?" Shut the hell up. You know what it is? Today is the first day that the frogs started singing in our pond. It's March 5. They usually start the last week of February, so they're a little late. We've had a longer, colder winter than usual, so it makes sense. But now I got these birds up here answering to the frogs down in the pond. Try to listen to me, not them. Okay? So she's like, "What is that?" I don't know, but I've seen these in older videos from other countries, but they are always blurry and not clear. These things reflected the sun. There were reports from nearby homes of people I know asking, who are they looking for? Because helicopters were in that same area afterwards. I was dumbfounded that we were the only ones who saw them. Now I'm seeing the same spheres in recent videos. Please read this on your channel. Well, I just did. Thank you for sending me your story. We love it. So here, once again, we have these strange things in the sky, flying in V formations, going in and out of dimensions, potentially. Crazy. All right, moving on. This is from Bubs. Morning, Kevin. Hope you and your family are well as can be. You have my permission to use my story. You can call me Bubs. I'm in New Zealand. This is interesting. So already we've had a story from Australia, a couple of stories from the U.S., now one from New Zealand. We get stories from Canada, England, other parts of the U.K. like Ireland, Scotland, Wales. FYI, if you don't know what the U.K. is, it's England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. Okay? All over Europe, South America, Asia. This stuff's going on everywhere, folks. It's not just New Jersey and Florida, ground zero. They're doing a lot of spraying down there, though. That's for sure. So Bubs continues. Listening to one of your latest videos on the couple on the mountain that got us thinking. Now that was the couple on the... Oh, those were the ones hiking in South Carolina where they saw the drones and then the forest fire started. Yep. Last year, while outside stargazing, we saw what we thought was a formation of very quiet birds in a V flying overhead. Here we go again, folks. We saw this a couple of different nights. We couldn't at the time work out if they were big birds or what. We knew they looked out of place. I even asked the UFO page if anyone else had seen them. Then the next morning, the air would smell horrible, that burnt chemical smell. Sounds familiar, folks? And this was around the time we noticed our organic veggies going off, and we were having bad body responses. Our bodies knew something was wrong. Folks, I don't know if you can tell me sniffling or not. I mean, I tell you, ever since I went down to Florida and came back, I have not been 100%. And I'm working out daily, eating healthy, not abusing substances. I'm just using them, but I'm not abusing them, brah. But I have not been 100% well. My body also is having like a bad response to this fog and smog. That's why I'm late with this video today. It was raining this morning and there was that fog out here and I just refused to come out into it. And I don't like to make videos in my house because the backdrop out here in my little piece of heaven is better. So I just waited for the rain to stop. You know what I mean? Okay, here we go. Continuing. So now it seems like these were those drones dropping fog or chemicals over us in New Zealand back last year. When all the puzzle pieces come together, it makes for a bigger picture. Didn't Bill Gates, I think, say he was going to poison the land at some stage? So we couldn't grow our own food, only eat their GMO food? They're certainly having to go at all of what the folks need to live. Their plan is in full swing to knock those of the earth to knock those off the earth, so to speak. Head on a swivel, keep safe, keep smiling. Bubs and Buster, New Zealand. You know, that just reminds me of something. It's like, so many people just don't get it. Like yuppies. You know, yuppies actually are excited about the concept of the 15-minute cities. Like, oh, it's so great. Everything we need is only 15 minutes away. These are the types that are like, oh, why do you kill the deer on your property? You can buy meat in the store. This kind of thing. I was at a party recently and there was a couple of yuppies there. They were okay, but man, they're just willing to line right up in that sheep pen and go off to slaughter. Listen, it's not, I love convenience, absolutely, but it's when they take away the other parts of the whole, that's when I get scared. Yeah, I love the convenience. I could sell out here, just go rent a place in town and keep this just for the whatever value of it. View it as an asset, an investment rather than a home. But yeah, it'd be great. Anytime I need anything, I'm within walking distance. Oh yeah. But when it comes to the point where they say, hey, psh, you better, I'm glad you like your conveniences, because if you wanted to go out there and grow your own food, or like we've done recently, gotten a new flock of chicks to start producing our own eggs and chicken meat and all that stuff again because of what's going on with the caca, hachu, and the smog and the fog and all that. When they say no, that's when I question it. And that's when, but so many yuppies like, oh, not a problem. Why would we have chickens? They're dirty. They poop. We can get eggs from the store anyway. So it's shocking how many people are just all for this 15-minute city thing because they don't have to go outside where there's bugs. You know what I mean? All right, let's continue. This is an email from Deborah, and I'm going to insert a picture right now before I tell you this story. Deborah sent me this picture. Here's the picture Deborah sent. All right, so it's about elongated skulls, okay? Deborah sent me that picture. Okay, so that was a picture of elongated skulls. Keep that in your mind's eye as I read you this story. Here's an email from Deborah. Hi, Kevin. Thanks for bringing our stories into the light. Many of us have had weird things happen to us and just get shut down when we try to talk about it. Here's one I experienced in the mid-1990s. I was a volunteer docent at the Florida International Museum. Shout out Florida. Hey, Florida, you were great. We went down there for 2 weeks just a couple of weeks ago. Loved it. We're going to buy a winter home down there. Dearly's already looking, my beautiful bride, a.k.a. Giggly Girl. Yeah. It is now closed for quite a few years, this museum. A docent is trained in and usually experienced with the subject they are available to answer questions on from the public. The exhibit I'm going to talk about was titled Empires of Mystery and dealt with the Inca and Peruvian artifacts. We had lunch at a Peruvian restaurant today here in Charlottesville. It's called Inca Grill. Shout out to Inca Grill. 5 thumbs up. They make the best grilled octopus tentacle ever. That's why we go there, just for the octopus tentacle. The other stuff ain't bad either. All right, continuing. At the time, I was a trauma nurse specialist in a busy trauma center. As such, I routinely read x-rays. Because of that, I was assigned to the mummy room of the exhibit. The exhibit included a few unwrapped mummies and 2 which were fully wrapped. These were denoted as mummy bundles due to the individual being seated with knees drawn up and arms wrapped around their legs before being wrapped in rough fabric and mummified. This just gives me an opportunity to demonstrate. So it would be like this. Now imagine me being mummified like this. All right. Yeah, people are like, man, you got the best job. Man, you don't know how hard my job is, brah. But that's what she's talking about, okay? Those 2 mummy bundles were encased in glass showcases with x-rays of the bundle displayed next to the case. I was there ostensibly to answer questions and explain the x-rays. Here's where the weirdness starts. One of the mummy bundles was a pregnant female. We Dawsons had all attended the training sessions where cradle head boarding, that's where they wrap the newborn's head tightly to promote an elongated skull shape, okay? And they do that with women's feet in China, certain tribes, where they wrap them tight so they stay small, because small feet on women are considered attractive among those subcultures in certain parts of China. So they do this they used to do this with skulls, okay? Had been identified as the cause of infants and adults having elongated skulls. However, standing next to this pregnant mummy bundle, I realized that the infant's skull was decidedly elongated in utero. You know what that means in English, folks? It means before this baby was born, they could tell that that baby's skull was already elongated. And it had not been wrapped. Man. This definitely was freaky. So when I next saw the PhD director, dude, I know where this is going. PhD piled higher and deeper. Some educated fool that probably put the brakes on the thing, right? Hold on. When I saw this PhD director of the exhibit, I asked him about the elongated skull in the mummy bundle. He immediately pounced on the post-birth cradle headboarding explanation. Well, of course, because that's what he read in his textbook. Probably never been out in the real world and had any real world experiences, but by golly, he's studied enough textbooks to get a Ph.D. whatever. So I carefully explained what the x-ray showed. Now here we got an x-ray technician, somebody that actually does something, right? He blubbered some excuse and practically ran away from me. Oh yeah, dude, because when they don't have the answer, whatever. I digress. Which I thought was strange until my next shift at the exhibit. They had totally removed the mummy bundles. Poof, gone. I felt like I'd had an Indiana Jones experience where the Smithsonian had swooped in to remove evidence that contravenes accepted ideology. What that means in English is that it goes against what we're told to think. Years later, when I met an investigator looking into elongated skulls and giants, I told him of my experience. He was very interested, so I attempted to get some collaborating information. I found a printed book of the exhibit at an online website that specializes in out-of-print books. When the book arrived, it was a beautiful photo and print documentary of the entire exhibit, except all the mentions of mummies was removed. Since that time, we've seen lots of info coming out about giants in the Americas and elongated skulls. I feel my experience was just another example of how the powers that be control the narrative. Thanks again, Kevin. We love your videos and look forward to every day to hearing from you. Please use my first name only, Deborah. Deborah, thank you for your story. Because, folks, the way I see it right there in Deborah's story is more evidence of how anytime we get closer to the truth, the powers that be make sure to come in and push us. No, stay behind the line. Stay behind the line, folks. Nothing to see here. Why is that? What are they scared of? So it makes me ask myself, these drones everybody's seeing, the orbs, all this strange stuff in the sky, as little as most of us trust our government, which is like as far as you could throw it, which is like we can't even pick it up to throw it, you know, even though it is getting smaller quickly. At least here in the U.S. A lot of y'all's government's going to be getting bigger quickly because it's time to ante up and pay the piper. You know, I was talking to somebody not too long ago who was complaining about the tariffs, and I said, you know what? Well, whatever. I'm not going to go there. Listen, they are trying to control the narrative, and we're just not buying it anymore. There are too many people from all over the world who are seeing too many things that aren't supposed to exist, but clearly do. So it makes me wonder, the drones, the orbs, and all these things we're seeing, are they really of our lying, evil, nefarious, bastard government with an S? Because remember, folks, people don't need government. Government needs people. Or are they otherworldly? Because I mean, this x-ray technician is seeing an elongated skull of an unborn child in a mummy from X amount of years ago. They didn't have time to wrap that head. The baby hadn't come out yet for the head to be wrapped, but that skull was already elongated. And a couple months back, when a lot of alien or UFO abductees were sending in their stories, and if you've got one, send it. The email address is crazylake@mail.com. It's in the description box below. It seemed like they were coming back and taking some of the same people or some of the same family members over and over and over. So it's just another piece of the puzzle, folks. Thanks for being here with me. Forgive my silliness. I am a bit under the weather, and I'm on some like something for whatever it is, and it's making me a bit loopy. So again, there's only like 2 copies of The Lunatic left on Etsy. You can get them on Amazon and print and Kindle. The links are in the description box below. Thanks for being with me, and I'll see y'all for more next time.